Hey guys, and welcome back to another Unfiltered Gamer Kickstarter board game review. Today's game up on the chopping block is a game made by Lazy Wolf Games, and it is called Barely Working. Barely Working is a 2 to 4 player game. It takes about a half an hour to play, and it's for ages 10 and up. In the game, you're basically auctioning off bears where people are shouting out bids and trying to obtain these bears, which will either give them capital or points at the end of the game. There's a couple of rounds to go through, and after people have acquired all their bears, they count up their total amount of points at the end of the game, and the person with the highest points wins. Well, let's go ahead and check out the game. The setup for Barely Working is very simple. You have 4 different types of cards. You have the action card deck, the bear auction deck, you have the symbol reference card, which you hand out to each player, and then the face-up trump cards, which remain face-up on the board. Afterwards, you give every single player 1 5-symbol currency and 5 1-symbol currencies. Then, the game is ready to begin. In the game, there are 3 simple phases. You have the auction phase, the payday phase, and the action phase. In the auction phase, you're basically playing bears face up, and players are going to be bidding on them one at a time, and the person who bids the most gets that bear. In the payday phase, whoever has bears that can actually accumulate currency for you will get paid that currency. And then, the action phase, players are going to either choose to draw a card from the action deck or get 5 currency from the currency pile. And you'll do that 3 times in a round, and you can play action cards during that phase. Let's go ahead and check out the auction close up. Now, the game has a weekly schedule, which means it has an opening day, and then it has 4 working weekdays right afterwards. In the opening day auction, you're going to take the bear auction stack, and you're going to pass out 5 face-down bears. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Afterwards, one player will go ahead and select a bear and flip it up face up. Then, every single person in the game is going to start announcing their bid for this specific bear. Now, in the top left-hand corner, you have either a gold or you have a silver different symbol. Silver means currency that you can obtain during the payday phase, whereas gold means it's the amount of points you'll receive at the end of the game, and you can get bonus points at the end of the game to win the game with the gold symbol. However, you also have symbols in the far top right-hand corner, which has a plethora of different things that can happen. It could be a beneficial bear, or it could be a detrimental bear. For instance, this one specifically, with the little green exclamation mark, is called a collective bear. And collective bears are cool because at the very end of the game, if you have the most collective bears, you can get 5 points. After this bear gets auctioned off, then you have the next bear go off, and so on and so forth. Now, players can go ahead and bid on whatever bears they want and as much as they would like. And if a person bids the same amount at the same time as another person, the person with the highest currency is the person that gets the bear and has to take it for 1 extra. Also, the person who bid on the first bear and received it is the person who gets the first player marker for the action phase, but more on that later. Now, after all bears have been auctioned off in the opening day, which is all 10 of them, then we move on to the payday phase. But just as a note, the first day obviously gives you 10 bears. However, each other day, which is each other round, is only going to give you 5 bears, which would be 4 other rounds of 5 bears. The payday phase is you're going to collect currency based on the number of bears that have currency symbols on them. For instance, these 2 bears, I have a 3 and a 4 symbol for currency, which means I would get 7 currency. Each player would also collect currency based on the bears that had currency symbols located on their cards. If you had no currency bears, you would get nothing, and the next phase, the action phase, would begin. Okay, so here's an example of a 4-player game right after the payday phase and auction phase have been concluded. The only person to gain any money from the payday phase was this person over here, and he was able to gain 7 from his 4 and 3 currency bear. However, everybody else seems to have had either a negative currency symbol on their bear, or just straight points for the end of the game. So, during the action phase, there's going to be 3 rounds. In a round, the first player to start is the first player who bid on for the first bear on the first auction phase. He will get to choose either an action card or 5 gold coins. If he chooses the action card, he takes the card and puts it face down in front of him and returns the money. However, if he chooses the money, the opposite is true. Now, these auction cards, or action cards, have different things on them. Sorry Not Today means it stops any one action card of another player, so it's basically a cancel another action card. Another action card might be an auction block. It stops the player from being able to bid on an auction. Or as thirdly, you might get scammed. Now, scam is not very good because it only gives you 1 coin as opposed to getting your 5. However, there are other cards in here that actually give you 10 coins as opposed to the 5 you can get. and there's tons of other action cards to go through. Every player will go through this 3 times, and then the next phase begins. So now before we get into the final phase of the last day where we calculate points, I want to talk about this little symbol reference card. Now there's a ton of bears and a ton of symbol on those bears, and I don't want to get into them fully because I want you to be surprised when you get the game. But, as you know, we already talked about the gold star and the circular coin. The star gives you points at the end of the game, where the coin gives you currency during the payday phase. The black X, however, can stop people from being able to auction, whereas the prohibited sign, or the little circle with a cross through it, is something that allows players to not have their bear stolen from them. There's also a gift symbol, which means that once you buy that bear, you can give it to another player. Now generally those bears are going to be negative bears, and they affect your opponents negatively, so it's kind of a take that mechanic. Moving ahead into the future, we've come to the 5th working day and passed the 3 phases. We've passed the auction, the payday, and the action phase. Now it's time to tally up our points and see who wins. Now just by looking at it, we would assume this guy wins because there's 2 and 2, which is 4, and 2 and 1, which is 3 points here. However, we've got to talk about these trump cards. Trump cards change the way the game is played because you're going to need to acquire certain things throughout the game with not just points of the bears. For instance, this one is the biggest community. The player with the most bears gets this and receives 4 points. The biggest economy is the player that has the most coins at the end of the game, and they'll get 3 points. The raise morale card is if anybody receives the politician bear, but nobody received it in this game, so nobody gets this card. Now the most collected bears is this player right here because he has 1 and this player has none, based on this little exclamation symbol, so he would receive 5 points. So now we tally up the points again. 3 and 3 is 6, plus 5 is 11, and 2 and 2 is 4, plus 4 is 8. So this player would win the game. Barely Working by Lazy Wolf Games is a simple, fun, and very flowy game. You can literally play this game in about 25 to 30 minutes, and it doesn't take you long to learn. We figured out how to play after 1 full playthrough. The theme is great. You're auctioning off bears. That's pretty much all you do in the game. You're trying to get the best bears from somebody else, and everybody else is having a great time screaming and hollering and trying to bid over each other, and oh, I don't have enough money, or oh, I have more money than everybody else, or oh, now you don't because I played this action card on you. Tons of good stuff in this game. It's creative. I've never seen a game like this. There has been some auctioning games, but never a game that's as fun and kid-friendly as this kind of game that I've personally seen before. The age range works. I think 10, 11 years old is where it's at, and anywhere up, because you can play with the oldest of people where they're going to be a take that kind of mechanic, where the game is going to be really vicious and fun, whereas with little kids you're actually going to have, you know, a more creative, fun, relaxing, just bidding whatever you want and getting all the bears that you specifically choose because they look cool. The replayability is there. You can pretty much play as many times as you want. It doesn't matter because you're always going to be getting different bears and trying different strategies to win. And the time to play, solid. The quality of the cards, components, and everything is great. This is still just a Kickstarter version, or a pre-Kickstarter version, so it's going to get better as time goes on and maybe perhaps stretch goals. I'm not exactly sure. Overall, I think this game is an 8, 7.5, 8, just because it's a little on the kid side and I'm more for the grown-up games. But as for kids, I think this game's a 9, all right? It's that good. I really suggest you play it, and I suggest you go ahead and check out their Kickstarter, especially if you like family-friendly with a little bit of cutthroat action. And that's basically what I think about Barely Working. This has been another Unfiltered Gamer Kickstarter board game review. If you like this video, go ahead and check out our other videos here on our YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and comment. If you like giveaways, for instance, we have the Refuge going on and Kiwetin, as well as the last final days of Ticket to Ride on our website, unfilteredgamer.com. We also have some great affiliates, everythingboardgames.com, as well as thegiveawaygeek.com. If you like giveaways and blog posts, they're the best sites for that. We appreciate you guys taking the time out, and we look forward to seeing you next time.